Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown from Diverse Spectrums. Today in our Digging Deeper episode, we're going to be talking about the unidentified objects in U.S. airspace that we heard about a couple months ago. I had noticed, as I'm sure you had, the reportings of multiple unidentified objects in North American airspace. I wanted to take a deeper look into the current reports at the time and a little on the earlier reports of this nature. According to Reuters, after shooting the unidentified object that turned out to be a Chinese spy balloon from the PRC, or the People's Republic of China, there were 3 other unidentified aerial objects detected in North American airspace. These were detected in a 3-day period directly after, but only after filtering analysis to better scan for slow-moving objects. CNN Political reported that one of the objects flying above Michigan airspace was shot down, but the first attempt failed, according to Commander General Glenn Van Hert of NORAD, the North American Airspace Defense Command, because of its small size. According to defense officials, these objects are very different from the much larger Chinese spy balloon, which was said to be about the size of 3 large buses. In a Pentagon memo, they stated that the object shot down over Alaska was about the size of a small car. The object shot down over Canada airspace was a small metallic balloon with a payload tethered below, and offered that one of the objects was cylindrical in shape. According to Press Secretary Ryder, the object over Michigan was shot down at around 20,000 feet and was octagonal in shape, containing no payload but strings hanging off. What about the Chinese spy balloon have we learned since it was shot down? According to a defense official, a significant amount of wreckage was recovered off the coast of South Carolina from about 50 feet of water. Of course, all the recovery is partially dependent on weather and the environment where each object was brought down. Still, some of the payload with sensitive components and electronics were recovered. The payload attached to the balloon was said to weigh approximately 20,000 pounds. In a CNN Inside Politics episode, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Beth Sanner, indicated from a report in January 2022, 247 unidentified objects had been documented since March 2021, and 119 before then, about half considered balloon-like, others more like drones, but that half remain unknown. Some may be used for spying, but others are for private use, education or research, data collection, organization or business use, and some are unknown. Sanner brought up another valuable point. We cannot continue bringing out fighter jets to shoot down every unidentified object. We need to focus on identifying which are actual threats. While recent sightings were found after filtering for these kinds of objects, this was done using equipment that hasn't been updated since the 1980s. Technology has advanced far beyond that since then. While both these sets of reports talked of the importance of patience, they also indicated the usual rancor and impatience often seen in these kinds of political controversial issues. Politicians such as Senator Rubio and Senator Warner expressed frustration with the lack of information, while Senator Romney and Kaine expressed that it is important to use some constraint as information is gathered. Personally, I think it has to be balanced. This urge for constraint versus pushing for information and pushing aside. Early on, you're going to get almost nothing. And because of the nature of the issue, what is put out is going to be vague. It doesn't matter if there are conservatives, independents, or liberals leading the show. Yet, you also need to see some of that push, that rancor, over not hearing clear information, not getting answers, and not doing whatever certain factions think is right. Without that pushback, without that rancor, too much gets brushed aside, ignored, hidden, done under the general society's or people's noses. And that is true of all sides in politics, news, academics, healthcare, and other social structures. So yeah, Even when it's a secretive thing and nobody has much information, it can still be good to have some of that rancor many of us get so tired of observing and experiencing. I think most of us understand that once these controversial issues are no longer the main topic of current events, they're kind of brushed aside. We don't hear about them anymore. So getting that information fairly early is important because we're not likely to hear about it after that. NPR also provided an article about the described report on unidentified objects back in January of 2023. And those unidentified objects they're calling unidentified aerial phenomena, which is a change from what they used to call them. So now instead of unidentified flying objects, it's unidentified aerial phenomena. And there's a variety of reasons that they did that. I do not object to those reasons at all. While they noted a dramatic increase in these sightings, there are a couple reasons that can explain such large spikes. They have begun looking at more phenomena, broadening focus, and also have tried to destigmatize the reporting of sightings, in part by making it clear that these objects can be of important informational and security concern. You know, from things like spy balloons. That doesn't stop some from asking the inevitable, could it be aliens questions. After intelligence and security official Ronald Moultrie was asked about visitors from space by journalists, he replied, "At this time, the answer's no, we have nothing. And we have not seen anything that would lead us to believe that any of the objects that we have seen are of alien origin, if you will." We can dig into the reports of the unidentified objects, or what were once called UFOs, a little more. In an article from the New York Times, which unfortunately, unless you have an account or haven't passed their free amount of views yet, you can't actually see it. But I got to see it for a little while with my free views. So in the article from the New York Times, looking at the earlier 144 incidents reported between 2004 and 2021, much of the unidentified phenomena remain classified, most largely kept secret because Pentagon officials did not want other countries, such as China, to get wind of them, learning of their country's spy efforts. The secrecy does sometimes feed into conspiracy theories. Sue Goff of the Defense Department explained the need to balance openness with a responsibility to protect sensitive information. Officials provided a variety of reasons that seemingly suspect footage and sightings can appear to have unusual characteristics, such as footage of 3 green triangles. These were later said to be drones with night vision tech and a trick of the camera lens, making them look like glowing triangle spacecraft. Though keeping the poorly understood and classified information secret can feed rumors and conspiracies. There is a long history of our government using such conspiracies as cover for information they do not want spread to adversaries. Yet intelligence officials have acknowledged that using conspiracies to cover classified programs serves to sow distrust and paranoia in American society. I think we've all seen more than our fair share of such paranoia, distrust, and rampant conspiracy theories in these last few years. Maybe it's time to shut some of that stuff down.